And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans, the bold new voice of independent media, where left meets right, powered by you, our listeners. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am a conservative. To my left, my co host, Rob Ambrose, a liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to create a space where people who disagree can have a civil conversation and find solutions to the problems that we face together. What are the topics of the day? First, Pierre Poilievre wins. Surprise, surprise, right? Air Canada flight attendants reached a tentative deal to end the strike. Both Trump and Zelenskyy snubbed Canada yesterday. Anonymous has a message for Nova Scotia. Our government announces a new gun buyback program that will be implemented by the end of 2026. Doug Ford becomes part of the elbows up movement. And finally, we have Amy Hamm's lawyer, Lisa Bildy, joining us today at 1:30 to speak about her case. Get your comments ready because the show starts now. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? Yeah, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be a good show. Interview. I'm excited to talk to her. I didn't know it was a female lawyer, but yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely. She, it makes sense to me though. I don't know if this is sexist, but having a female lawyer represent her makes sense to me.
Especially
like, I don't know why. It's probably sexist as hell what I'm thinking, but to me, it just makes sense.
I get it. I think Amy sees it as a women's rights issue first and foremost. So it does make sense that she would have a woman lawyer.
My point exactly. And you look at Jeff Evely, I want a dude because he's ex-military. It's all coming from the guy wearing a fucking V-neck down to his nipple. That's pink. We need masculine men, I tell you.
Pink shirt. It's salmon. It's salmon, bro.
Says the homo. Yes, of course.
You know what it's like. You're a big guy when you wear like the tight shirt. You gotta beat it off.
I have the same shirt.
You gotta beat it off with a stick.
All my Muay Thai gear. If you look, my gloves, my shin pads, my elbow pads, all the gear that I wore when I was sparring, bright pink. It was a gift from one of my old students. She brought it back from Thailand. She had it custom made for me because she knew I liked pink and purple. So shorts were pink, yellow, and purple and yellow. There's a dude that told me in training years and years ago, he's like, wearing pink like you do is pretty gay. I'm like, maybe so, but what's gayer? Wearing pink or getting knocked the fuck out by a guy that's wearing pink?
Yeah.
Zing!
Yeah, buzzing. That's funny.
Man, people are already in the chat. I love when people show up before I do.
Yeah.
Pam was actually saying hi before I did. Yeah. So what's going on, Pam? Chris Fields, love being an Albertan. Yeah, I can
better
understand.
And better every
day. I fully agree. I think I understand exactly what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Pam seems to be already having a conversation with Chris. I'm an important Albertan. Love it here.
Love it here. Raise my family. We'll probably die here. Yeah, well, it's like we were talking about last night when we were doing the live stream. It would be interesting because let's say Alberta separates. It wouldn't happen right away. There'd be a period of negotiation. I bet you there's going to be a gold rush to get into Alberta because once if you're in there when it separates, you're good to go.
The question, what I was wondering yesterday as a Frenchie from Montreal, I'm like, if I join Alberta, will I ever be accepted as an Albertan? Because it seems like it's more of a status now. Like as a Canadian,
like an identity, right?
Yeah. Becoming Albertan to me is an identity. I'm
kind of like if I go to Quebec, I could live there my whole life. I'll never be a Quebecer. I'll never be Quebecois.
No, more than that. It's almost like a stamp of approval, as in I denounce where Canada's going by moving to Alberta, and I embrace more of a typical freedom that we used to have. It's like a statement to me.
As a Frenchie, you'd probably have to prove it a little more, but I don't think it would prevent you from eventually getting
no pink shirts. That's for sure. For the first few years, camo hat, black shirts.
Yeah, you'll have
to. I have to be manly. I have to at least sound manly.
Yeah, that's right. Joe says, "Salut, gang. Good morning to you, sir." Leah, hello everyone. Hey, Leah, how's it going? Sylvie, I've seen enough of you two in the last couple of days. Yeah, I know.
Yet she was there this morning on.
Oh, really?
Jason Levine. She spent.
Oh man, I didn't get up
show with us yesterday.
How you guys were done? I mean,
what a bit.
Well, you know how it is. Like you get done and you're kind of wired from the show.
You're wired.
Like, yeah. We didn't finish till 1:30 my time, and I didn't get to sleep till like 4. It's just tossing and turning all night.
I was eating, man. I finished this. Did I feed my son? I think I fed my son, put him to bed. Finally, he got to bed. My wife could sleep because she's up with him all the time, right? She's breastfeeding, so there's just so much I can do on that front.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Yesterday, I fed my son, put him to bed, put him in his crib. She got to sleep. I continued eating. I was up for at least an hour or two after the podcast. It's wired, man. We went for 2.5 hours, give or take, and yeah.
It was a good show. It was a lot of fun. We had that Brett guy. I didn't even know who that was. I just saw him down waiting there. I was like, I guess someone you invited or something. But yeah, he was a smart guy. What does he own?
He runs the bank.
Union?
Yeah, he runs the credit. It's basically the only bank in Canada that refused
won't
freeze accounts. Nope. No, he wants a court order. So he's clever, very smart, very, very, very clever guy.
That shows up the other banks. I bet you they would say, like, well, the government said it, we have to do it. And like, no, you don't. Mm-hmm. You don't actually have to do it. I mean, yeah, if there's a court order, sure. But to be honest, like, obviously I'm not as in depth with all the context of what happened at that time. But I assumed there was a court order. I was surprised to hear that there was.
Just demands. That's
wild. Just Trudeau just said, "Hey, can you guys mind freezing these guys' bank accounts?" And they all were like, "Yeah, sure, no worries."
Yep,
that's that's messed up, man.
Or it was probably more of an order than a question. I'll never get proof. I'll never have proof of what I'm saying right now. That's my assumption, but I'm ready to bet that it was more of an order saying you better do this or else. So, yeah,
I think that's probably right. Alberta independence. My husband and I sold everything during the height of COVID and left on terrible. Moved to Alberta. Best decision we made. Yeah, it doesn't sound like anyone really regrets moving there. I've never heard anyone.
At least not because they moved there, right? I'm sure there's people there that lives in Edmonton. They're like, oh, we don't like what Alberta's becoming. We're so racist here.
Yeah,
But again, if you're outside of Edmonton, just remember the election map, right? Blue everywhere outside of Edmonton. So,
oh yeah. Wise guy says, I watched the show. The Banker was great. Do you know how many tuned in to watch? There were big numbers. What was it? Just
we were about 3,500.
3,500.
No, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were at 3,500 yesterday. Yeah, it was. It was a good call because nobody was covering it. The only one I saw that was covering it was Northern Perspective, and I would 100% say that we had a better show because we're more entertaining.
Yeah,
like we had a different mix of people too, like having you and I, having Jason, having Brett.
We keep it light, funny, but then it's good to have some guys who actually have that knowledge. And rather than us just talking out of our ass the whole time.
But the thing is that this is what's interesting, and that's why I like to record with Jason. I like to record with Brett. I like to record with David Craden. Is as much as our style of, at least like I'm speaking for myself, as much as my style of content creation is completely different. Like I don't do content like anybody else. It's my style that I've developed over the years. But I tend to sound like a hothead. I tend to sound like a guy that's just might be an idiot that doesn't know what he's talking about, but yet you put me in front of those people and I'm on the same page as them. I understand exactly what they're going. We can have the conversation. So it basically gives us credibility when we do have guys like that we're not just two idiots talking out of our asses all the time. We actually know what, like even yesterday, I don't remember what was the term you used, but I was like, oh, look at Rob. Yeah.
big word over here. Ooh,
wow, 6 months later, it's about time. Bam.
Finally, sounds, not just a pretty face.
But it was good. Like, I loved it
yeah,
yesterday. We need to do more of those. Like, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And you're right. I think there's we do kind of make it fun and keep it light, but certainly I don't think, either of us will probably have the in-depth knowledge of banking that say Brett does, but we can hang with those guys, right? Like we can have that conversation for sure. We know enough.
The goal's to be a jack of all trade.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. And then bring the experts on.
I know a lot about a lot, but I'm not an expert in much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why you bring different people in the show, in your interviews, in order to bring that very specific expertise to bring it to the next level, like we do with John Carpe all the time, right?
Yep, that's right. And so we had wise guys. So we had 3,500. Just for context, we have about 500 to 600 per day on this show. So it's quite a bit more than our regular, give or take. But so I mean, obviously 500-600 is still pretty good. But we had it was quite a good show, and I think the time difference makes the difference as well.
There was nobody there, man.
Yeah, there's just a lot of people at our work at this time, right? That can't watch the show.
I'd be very curious how this show would do later on at night. I'd be very curious to see it.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it's something to consider.
Like, I'd like a late night show. This is probably where the type of show that we have would fit better, is almost a late night show at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, because of the banter and the way that we are. Like something at least 9 o'clock and past. But who knows? Who knows? I'm just happy, bro. I'm just happy that we do what we do, that we're capable of getting numbers like we did yesterday. So they keep on growing and growing and growing. That's all thanks to the commenters, to the listeners, to the guys that keeps on showing up and showing up and showing up. And credit to you guys. Like, thanks for being there. And if you want to help us continue growing, make sure to like the stream if you're on X, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to restream. If you're on Instagram, make sure to like, make sure to comment. If you guys really want to join the conversation though, make sure to join it on YouTube. As you can see right here, it never ends. It goes for the whole show. People are commenting. We address a lot of the comments. There's a lot we can't take, but the conversation is carried over in the chat without us being involved. So if you really want to be part of the show, you want to help us direct the show, you want to have an impact on the show, make sure to come to the YouTube channel at the Poli Orphans, like it's indicated above Pinky's head right there, and like, comment, make sure to subscribe. If you're on YouTube right now, make sure to like. We should always have the equal amount of viewers to like, even if it's dislike,
or at least dislikes.
Dislikes.
Yeah, at least dislikes.
I want to see, if you don't like it, dislike it, leave a comment, tell me why. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But I'm always open for criticism, so let us know.
Yeah, it's a great comment here by Alberta Independence. You guys popped in my algorithm a few weeks ago, tuned in every day since. Thank you for what you're doing. We need more of this type of dialogue. Well, thanks for that comment, Alberta, and thank you for your continued.
Can you tell us, are you a dude or you're a woman? Like, not at the end of the day, not that it matters. It's just, I like to know how to refer to someone, because if I keep on calling you bro.
If we look here.
My husband.
Unless
unless
he's wearing a shirt like mine every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which all good.
Alberta. No judgment. No judgment.
I'll judge you. I don't judge our listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely different story.
She's a woman born that way. That's right. Yeah, that makes sense. There was, Wilf Alcock says your show is also not biased. Yeah, I mean it's, and then when we do have a bias, we'll put it out there. We're not going to hide it. And that's the way everyone should be. Unfortunately, that's the big complaint I have with the mainstream media is not that they have biases. A lot of media has biases. Is that they pretend that they don't. I think they genuinely think that they don't. And either way,
at least that's what they want us to believe. At least,
exactly.
Homa is saying, "Hey, bread. Are those bread cupcakes?
Breads?
Oh, nice. I bet they're cupcakes. Hey,
Oh,
cupcakes, did you call me?
no, that wasn't me, brother. No.
He was
That
just
was
thinking about you, but he didn't
yeah,
call.
yeah, I was yeah, that's right.
José
Josie,
Larousse.
bonjour du Quebec. Great to see you live. Thanks for tuning
Yeah,
in.
what's going on, José? What's going on? José Larousse Belin. Belin?
That's like a
Belin?
very French name.
Yeah, but it says the redhead. So Jojo the redhead. That's what it means.
Yeah, that's fun. That's
Larousse.
funny about French names. I remember I was in the army with a guy named Laframboise, Mark
La
Laframboise,
framboise.
and
The,
like
the raspberry.
the raspberry. His name is the raspberry. But
Yep.
that shit's like common in Quebec with French names. It's weird stuff, man. But
Yeah.
everything's different in Quebec, right? You guys got to make exceptions for all that. All
We're
that
special.
weird gay shit.
We're
Yeah,
special.
very
Says the
special.
guy with a pink shirt. Leah's saying, absolutely, Nico, you would be accepted if you're as conservative as you sound. You'll fit right in. You too, Rob. I'm
I'll
more
have to.
conservative. I'm more
Oh
conservative
yeah,
than what I let it
Then you
on
sound
here.
on the show.
I try to keep myself in the middle somewhere. If you really know how I feel, join me on Wednesday with David Creighton. I go more into my rabbit holes and I have a podcast that I don't run anymore because I don't have the freaking time to do it. But on Woken, if you go to my Rumble channel, because I can't post that anywhere else, I got some stuff out there where you'll see what I really stand for.
So, yeah, Guy Lafleur,
Guy
classic.
yeah,
the
that's true.
flower.
Yeah,
I remember his nickname was the flower, and I was like, why do they call him the flower? And then
La
I
Fleur.
realized that's literally his name. Yeah,
It's
the
yep.
flower.
Oshalaga saying, Nico, what you said is the reason I'm in the prairies. I'm done with all the provinces east of it. I fully understand. I fully get it. And
I do too.
if we do ever decide to stay in Canada, my wife and I, it would be where we would go. So I feel you. Let's answer this one and then we'll get started. Nick Prairie's asking if I watched the video with Chris Dacey and if you still hold the same position as yesterday about he's up against in Ottawa. I didn't. Like it's so hard for me to watch a lot of long content because I'm always working, I'm always creating content. So I'm trying to get Chris Dacey on the show instead of listening to his stuff. I'd rather him be here and explain himself instead of listening to his explanation. I want to ask him. So I definitely want to talk to him. And I want to ask him the hard questions, the same comments that I passed yesterday. I would ask him directly because personally, I don't think there's anything that he can tell me that will convince me that he's not a victim of his own success. And unfortunately, I think it's going to happen more and more to Chris. Unfortunately, because I don't, as annoying as it was, I still don't see a problem with it. If he didn't put his hands on him, if he wasn't aggressive, if he just was kind of an asshole, at the end of the day, that might be exactly how people see Chris Dacey, right?
Well, that's what I mean. I think
that doesn't mean he is. But
I think it would be bad for Chris if he was successful at getting that guy to stop, because whatever argument he used could be used against him for sure.
Yeah. And like Prairie says, I think it's going to make a great interview. And you're the reason, if he does agree to show up, you're the reason why, because I tried to get him in the past. It never worked out. I stopped trying. We tried again yesterday. So hopefully we will get him on the show, because I like what he does. I like his videos. I share them all the time. So I do like what he's doing. So let's get into it. We're
final question. Final comment from Sylvie. She says English names can also be funny for us Frenchies. Sandalwood, for example. Yeah, or that girl last night for the NDP, was it
Swampy?
Catherine Swampy. How did Swampy finish, anyways?
Well, we will show the numbers right now. So
yeah, we'll take a look at that.
I think unless you've been sleeping under a rock, we all know that Pierre Poilievre won the by-election. No surprise. We all called it. So, yeah, no surprises there. But what's surprising to me are the numbers from Elections Canada. So, Pierre Poilievre won with 80.4% of the votes, which is just over 40,500 votes. But what is impressive to me is that independent Bonnie Critchley, literally 5,000 votes, about 10% of the votes. And it's more than if you combine the Green Party, you combine the Green Party, you combine the PPC, you combine United Party of Canada, the NDP, and the Liberal,
It's
and
more than
she's
everyone
still,
else combined.
yeah,
Other than obviously Poilievre.
other than Poilievre, yeah. But the thing that I found interesting, and that's what Jason Levine was talking about yesterday, is he ran for the PPC last time because he didn't feel that running as an independent would actually be possible in Alberta. And he mentioned it a couple of times on the live stream we did yesterday, where he said that a 10% result like that, like literally she's beating the Liberal, the NDP, the United Party, the PPC, she beat them all combined. Yes, she got a lot of exposure from mainstream media because they need somebody to run against Pierre Poilievre, and they chose
It's got to be a
her.
horse race somewhere.
Yeah. But she still won 10% of the votes, which is impressive. And that's what Jason was saying yesterday, is as an independent, if you want to run as an independent, that's a great indication that Alberta is now ready to maybe go the independent route. Maybe, I'm not saying they will, but maybe they'll consider it. And because he did mention that going PPC might have hurt him a bit, at least with some of his constituents. They weren't really up for the PPC route. So I'm not saying that it's a big deal. I don't know. I didn't run in the election. I'm just trying to repeat what he said yesterday. But it's interesting that she won literally more vote than all the other parties combined outside of Pierre Poilievre, obviously.
Well, and the fact that Poilievre won basically the same votes as the Conservative Party, it seems to me that all the Conservatives just voted for Poilievre, and everyone who wasn't a Conservative just picked one person to vote for, and it looks like they picked Critchley there.
Yeah, you're pretty bang on, because what did I say? 80.4%. And if you look at
like the
this
LBC
data share, the data shared by 338canada.com, if you want to go consult this, but this was so they talk about the last three elections. So if you look at the 2025 with Damien Couric, he won 82.8% of the votes.
Yeah.
They were predicting 75% plus or 8 plus or 8 minus, like 8 plus or minus, depending. They were at 80.4, so they were pretty bang on. And what I found interesting is that they completely shit the bed on the Liberals. They shit the bed on the NDP, the PPC, the Green, but they did have the independent bang on as being Bonnie. So this website's pretty cool. I had never used it until yesterday. I'm definitely going to use it again in another election if that happens anytime soon.
It looks like basically all the Liberals from the earlier election just voted for Bonnie.
Obviously, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like she really got portrayed as a savior, like the lesbo savior there. So
yeah, the patriot, right? Because she was a veteran. Of course, if it was Poilievre who was a veteran, or Max Bernier, he'd be a baby killer.
Hold on here. You want to take some comments?
We'll take a few of these. Down and Out Nashville says, was a fan of Pierre once, not much anymore, sad, but he's the best you've got. Yeah, I mean,
that's a sad reality right there.
I don't really understand why the Conservative Party was so eager that they bent over backwards to keep him as the leader. Honestly, I think it's an indictment of the weak bench that they have, that they had no one in the wings. Usually there's always a couple hungry young up and comers just waiting for the leader to make a misstep or a mistake like that, and you can't stop them. But apparently not in the Conservative Party, which I don't think it bodes well for them, to be honest.
The only thing I can think of is that somebody in the higher ups wants him there. There's a reason why he's there. I'll never stop saying that he's controlled opposition. After the last election, when you shit the bed that bad, and they still want you afterwards, I don't know, man.
Not even just like, it'd be one thing if they just didn't get rid of him, like if he won his seat, but to like
Yeah.
move heaven and earth to
Oh,
keep
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
I don't understand that. Wise guy, I kind of agree with this. He says, I disagree. This independent was a one-off. She got the CBC backing her, and that won't happen again. All the votes she got were protest voters who disagreed with running where you don't live. I probably agree with that. I'm not sure this has some deeper meaning for independence in Alberta. Now, that said, I don't live there. Jason does, and he seems to think it does. So I would probably defer to him on that.
The thing to remember, wise guy, is that if you're like me, for example, and you understand social media, you understand how to get a reaction out of people, you understand how to get people to pay attention to you by creating great content. Anybody that is an independent can get mainstream media to pay attention to them by going directly against the favorite. And the reason it worked right now is because they went after Pierre Poilievre. Would it have worked if it was against a liberal? No, it wouldn't have worked.
No.
Clearly, it wouldn't have worked. Not in Canada, at least. But look at Jeff Evely, for example. He ran for the PPC. I guarantee you that if he continues growing the way that he's growing right now and decides to run again, his numbers are going to be insane just
He's
because
on fire right now.
But people will recognize him for what he's done. And if you're looking for a change, you're looking for somebody to do something different, they would vote for him because they know who he is. So as much as I understand and I agree with you, wise guy, keep in mind that social media is the great equalizer if you understand how to use it. If you understand how to take advantage of it. And a great example, Jasmine Lane having Pete Okra on her show when he was on Global News the day before. She did 10 times the views, and she's recording from her living room. So this is how powerful social media has become. And more people are looking for alternative source of media. Like you guys in the comment section, there's a good reason why you're here and you're not listening to CBC right now, right? So if you know how to understand or to use social media, it's possible to get noticed. But the fact that she's a lesbo definitely played in her favor. That's for sure.
Definitely helped, yeah. Anastasia says, I like
before you take this, I just wanted to show something before I forget, because there's not much to say with Pierre Poilievre. It's pretty obvious what happened yesterday.
We'll just take a few more comments after this, and then we'll go on,
but Nepean, so the word Nepean was trending this morning. If you don't know what Nepean is, it's a small part of Ottawa where Mark Carney decided to run, because people are, as much as I dislike Pierre Poilievre, people are ripping into Pierre Poilievre, saying that, oh, he chose the safest riding in the conservative platform. That's why he went there. And I'm like, okay, sure. Hypocrite much? Because this post is great. Jagmeet Singh running in Surrey while living in Brampton, not parachuting. Mark Carney running in Nepean, while living in New York City, not parachuting. Pierre Poilievre running in Battle River-Crowfoot while living in Carleton, the most egregious type of parachuting ever. So I just found it interesting because people are complaining, and I'm like, Nepean was the easiest riding for Mark Carney. Not only that, but the incumbent, the liberal incumbent that was there, was barred from running. They canned him, saying you cannot rerun again, although he would have won, so that they could put Mark Carney in place. But it's only not good or incorrect. It's only a problem when it's a conservative that does it.
Yeah.
So I just found it interesting because you all know I'm not a fan of Poilievre, but at the same time, you got to be fair, call a spade, and Jagmeet Singh did the same thing. Mark Carney did the same thing. So did Pierre Poilievre. This is a political trick that they take, and that they take advantage of, and maybe
Mark
that's
Carney
wrong.
Doesn't even live in Canada. I feel like that's a much bigger deal.
I don't even know if he has a Canadian passport.
Anastasia says, I like Pierre. I don't agree with you on this one. Bruce Fanjoy lied. I like the fact that Pierre came back. And it's fair. It's a fair take for sure. I mean, he's a polished politician for sure.
Polished politician. He's from Poland. He's Polish.
Polish, yeah, he might be. Leah Jet, as Leah says, in the battle River-Crowfoot debate, Pierre made all the other candidates look like preschoolers. Experience and education
Oh
matters.
yeah.
He did. He looked like a professional. And you know, we've talked about, you know, not particularly liking, you know, career politicians. However,
Yep.
in that debate, I mean, that did stand out to me. Remember that, you know, the PPC guy, like, you know, I think we all cut him some slack because it is hard to talk to a group of people like that. And he's clearly not experienced, but it's not a great look, right? It doesn't. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of silly that it works like that, because the ability to give a speech doesn't really have anything to do with your ability to properly represent the people in your riding. But it does matter, right? When you see that kind of stumbling and bumbling, it does make you be like, I don't know about this guy. By far, Poilievre was the most polished up there for sure.
There's no question about the fact that he's a polished politician. That's all he's been doing his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He is your typical career politician. So when we watched the debate, I like Jonathan Bridges. I don't know what he stands for. I don't know the guy personally. I've never talked to him. I invited him on the show. He never responded. But all to say that I saw what he did to be genuine. Now, what is it that you want? Because here's what Battle River-Crowfoot voted for yesterday. A guy that will never be present in their riding, that only became an MP because he wanted his seat back so that he could become the leader of the Conservative Party. So he's admitted himself that he'll never be there. He is not there to represent Battle River-Crowfoot in Ottawa. He was there to get his job back. Yes. If you wanted a guy that was there to probably help you do his best, is he a career politician? No, but he is one of you. He's just a commoners like you and I. He's just part of the commoners. He's just a regular dude that's trying to do the right thing. That's the type of guy that would have worked for you in Ottawa. So at the end of the day, I understand both sides of the equation. I understand where people are coming from. But what do you want at the end? Do you want a career politician that's not even there for you? Or do you want a guy that lives there, that's part of the community, that understands the reality that Battle River-Crowfoot faces every day, and that will fight for you in Ottawa? So that was basically the choice yesterday that people made. Because I got to give credit to Pierre Poilievre. He didn't lie. He never said that he's always going to be there. He mentioned it, like, obviously, a la Pierre Poilievre and as a politician. But he did make it clear that he's not going to be there.
No.
So what do you want as a politician? I don't want a career politician anymore. I'm tired of career politicians. I want to see politicians start flipping table and losing their shit in Parliament. They're getting so pissed off that they're getting escorted by security if that's what happens. This at least would show me that people care, because I'm tired of seeing the opposition exposing some really bad practices from the Liberals, showing us a scandal, and then 2 days after it's gone. Nobody talks about it anymore. I'm tired of an opposition that won't even talk about Bill C2, for example, that we've heavily covered up to now and will continue to cover it. Never approached it. Poilievre has never talked about it. I think there was one person in their party that talked about it, and she didn't even talk about it to the point that it should have been spoken about it. So again, what do you want? I'm tired of seeing this type of politicking. I'm ready for some regular commoners dudes that are just going to fucking flip tables and lose their shit because they're tired of where Canada, of what Canada's become. And I'm one of them. I'm really tired. It saddens me that my son will not experience the Canada I grew up in. I say this all the time, but I mean it. It really bothers me, because Canada was awesome in the 80s. Where I grew up, I can't think of a better place to grow up. I don't think I wouldn't have wanted to grow up anywhere else. I got to just be Canadian, live in the wood, play in the woods, get injured, and just play hockey, play basketball, play all the sports like just a regular kid did. And unfortunately, my son's not going to experience that. So,
yeah. I mean, I do think that, you know, to your point about local representation, I feel like most people don't think of elections that way. You know,
no.
technically they should. That's technically how we're supposed to. But I think most people vote for the federal party first, and whoever they put as their representative is who they're going to actually vote for. I don't think they care one way or the other.
Yep.
I think in the States, I think the system's a little different. I think people, I don't know, maybe not. But here in Canada, for sure, I do think people vote for the federal party first. And I think the reason the numbers are pretty much the exact same is because the Conservatives who voted for, what's his name again? The last guy, the guy whose seat Poilievre took.
Damien Kirk.
Damon Kirk, yeah. I think they just looked at it. They realized, clearly the Conservative Party wants Poilievre as leader. So it's our job to deliver them Pierre Poilievre.
And I said that on the show, on the live stream yesterday. I would never vote again for a guy like with Damien Kirk. I would never vote for him again if I was in Battle River-Crowfoot, because he obviously put the party leader above his own constituents, and that's not the type of politics I condone. I don't condone this. Which is, I think I've said it before here, but one of my buddies used to say that he never votes in federal elections. All he votes in municipal elections. He knows who's on the board of every single committee. He knows who runs the school board. He knows the mayor. He knows everybody that works for the mayor, because that's where he lives. Those are the decisions that will impact his life on a day-to-day basis. And unfortunately, like you mentioned, it's not something that we're trained to understand. Like, we see the federal level, and that's both in Canada and the US. We're no different when it comes to that, in my opinion. But we forget the part that where we live every day is really where it's going to matter for you and I. Like, who's fixing the roads, who's teaching your children, who's taking care of your municipal taxes, who's deciding what to do with those municipal taxes. So,
well, it's like they say, all politics are local, but I think most people don't see it that way. I think they see it as a federal thing.
It's not as catchy, right? It's not, you don't get to see it on all the news station. People rarely speak about local representation. Most people have no clue who their mayor is.
Yeah.
They have no clue.
That's true. That's true.
Yet we know the party leaders. We know them all. We know. You can identify. If you show me pictures, the average person knows who they are. Yet they have no clue who their mayor is. They have no clue who runs the school. Nope, they have no clue. Yet it's where that matters.
Yep, that's a good point. And I think to the extent that grassroots activists, as annoying as they are sometimes, that's what they get right, is they understand that local politics is where where real change is most easily affected. Anastasia says, I could see Aaron Gunn, Lawton, Jamal Javoni. Yeah, these are all good names. I think they could all do great things. Let's give Pierre a chance. If not, there are a few others I could lead. I mean, I do think that he's on the clock now. I think, I think he has to actually do things now. He'll probably get one more election, assuming he doesn't mess up and assuming he can hang on for 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is. But I think this is basically his last shot. He's probably gotten more shots than I think he deserves, but he's got it. So, maybe he's some brilliant strategic tactician behind the scenes that we don't see, and he's just got the Conservative Party wrapped up. It kind of seems like that, but for better, for worse, I mean, he's there now. So I guess, as Anastasia says, we'll give him a chance.
Is it I can't remember, it's either in September or January that the Conservative Party has a vote of confidence for their leader, which is Pierre Poilievre now. So I don't remember which one. Is it in September? I'm trying to look it up right now. I can't remember if it's January or September, but they're definitely going to have a chance. Hopefully it's in January, not in September, because I would like to see him try for a few months, try to convince people. It's not a vote of no confidence. It's the January Conservative vote. Yeah, they're gonna. It is in January. That's what I thought. So
it's a new lead now. I mean, after all of this, they're probably not going to dump Pierre, right? He's probably going to win that, but it'll be interesting to see.
I don't know, but it's the membership that votes. Leadership review. That's correct. It's not a vote of non-confidence. Perfect. We got some smart commenters, but it'll be interesting to see just
How that vote
the
goes.
Conservative Party as a party, do they still endorse Poilievre? Because right now, I agree that as we stand, maybe you have a Giovanni that could be different. You have a James Gunn that could be different, but there's really not much on the Conservative Party that stands out. And again, it's surprising because with social media, it wouldn't be hard for a conservative MP to just stand out. I heard of Giovanni because of a post that I saw online, and it got passed around, started going viral. I'm like, oh shit, I like what that guy stands for. So
Was he
again,
the one
it's
that was talking about
possible.
the H1 or not the foreign worker, temporary foreign worker
Yeah,
program?
yeah.
Okay.
The guy that had no hair, like
Yep.
no eyebrows, like he had some
No,
type
yeah,
of cancer
no
that
hair
he was battling.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's him. I like him. I actually quite like him.
Yeah, I thought he sounded pretty good. Where is it here? I think Bumpy said, yeah, I agree with this too. He's pretty, like you said last night, he's green. He's
Yeah,
pretty,
yeah.
I think he's a first term MP, right? He wouldn't be able to take over leadership right now.
But at the same time, man, how many times have I been given opportunities in my professional life working for the man, not because I was ready, because my new boss or the guy that recruited me saw something, saw potential,
Yeah.
and believed in baptism under fire. And I believe in baptism under fire. If you think you can do the job, give me a chance. I'll show you that I can do it. But on paper, you might not agree, right? But you gotta take a chance. So I'd be ready to give a chance to a guy like Giovanni instead of a Pierre Poilievre and see what he does.
Yeah. Did you see this? I didn't see this. Bumpy says, I saw Jeff was mentioned by Joe Rogan.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a terrible mention. Unfortunately, he didn't say Jeff Evely. He couldn't even remember that it was Nova Scotia. He said something along the lines of Saskatchewan. And then Jamie's like, I don't know. But remember, Joe Rogan smokes a lot of weed. So, but it was cool that they made reference to the story. Man, imagine if he ends up on the show.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Because that would be the type of stuff that Joe Rogan has taken unknown. And overnight, like there's a pastor in the US that I wanted to have on the show. Like on my other show, like on Unwoken, I was approaching him 2 weeks before he goes on Joe Rogan. I find him, I approach him. He has as much followers as I do on Instagram. It was like 20,000 back then. And I approach him. I don't get an answer. Next thing you know, he's on Joe Rogan. I go back to his page, like 250 or 300,000 followers overnight. Wow. Oh, yeah, it's like a matter of days. It's like he starts appearing on the who's who spot. You go to Joe Rogan as a content creator, you're gonna be loved or really hated, probably both.
Yeah. As Bumpy says, proclaiming there's no wildfires was retarded. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are wildfires. I mean, that's just a factual thing. It doesn't sound like he had a firm grip on the story, anyways. What he was happening in Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah. It was just like a mention of something I saw when I was high once, and it just I
don't know. But...
I heard him. I'm not sure if it was a dream or if it was true, but yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
So we've been talking about this a bit over the past few days, where the flight attendants for Air Canada were on strike. They defied the Canadian government order to get back to work. They said no. They continue their strikes. And
back to work.
Out,
no. Okay.
No,
okay.
No, not doing it.
I got nothing.
Yeah, that's it. Not doing it. But it's been reported by CBC a couple hours ago that Air Canada flight attendant have reached a tentative deal to end strike. So let's listen to this video right here.
On this Tuesday morning, we begin with major breaking news. The Air Canada strike is over. And that is according to both the company, Air Canada, and CUPE, the union that represents 10,000 flight attendants. The union released this statement just moments ago, saying the strike has ended and a tentative agreement has been reached. CUPE says they're required to advise members to return to work and to fully cooperate with the resumption of operations. It goes on to say the union negotiated from 7 p.m. last night until 4:23 this morning, reaching at that point the tentative agreement, which still has to be ratified by the members. But this effectively puts an end to days of cancellations and disruptions. And Air Canada, as a result, is set to gradually resume service today. So far, more than 500,000 travelers have been affected by the strikes. Hundreds of flights have been canceled. Air Canada, as I mentioned, says it will gradually begin resuming operations as the day goes on after reaching this settlement. So we are awaiting details of the new deal, including the details on those key sticking points, wages and ground pay. And we'll be bringing you more information as we get it throughout the morning. But let's take you right away to Brett Ruskin, who's going to lead off our coverage. He's inside Stanfield International Airport, which is in Halifax. Brett, coming on air with a whole breaking story to tell the country this morning. So let's go through the details we have so far.
Good morning, Heather. How fresh is this news? Let me tell you about a moment that just happened moments ago. I was here collecting the updates and the information that I'm going to tell you about in just a moment, but the Air Canada workers behind me didn't know about this tentative agreement that had been agreed to. I just kind of wandered over, and there was a group of Air Canada workers around me hearing the update I'm about to give now, that we have reached a tentative agreement. The union and the company, as you mentioned, they've been working overnight from 7 p.m. until 4:23 a.m. trying to sort out this deal. So this deal has been reached, obviously still needs to be ratified by all of the membership, the 10,000 flight attendants. So folks here haven't seen the deal, don't know what's in it, don't know what the details are, don't know what they're voting on yet. But part of that deal is contingent on the unionized workers going back to work and beginning the process of resuming operations. That won't be an immediate thing. It never was going to be an immediate kind of snap your fingers and have all the flights back. We know from management, from the company, that it'll take multiple days, perhaps up to a week, for operations to be fully restored, fully back to where they were pre-labor disruption. And so that's going to take certainly some time. So still a matter of, if you do have flights, checking to see if those flights have been canceled. Some relatively good news. I'm looking at a flight board just over here.
So I'm going to stop him right there because I think we get the idea. But there, I wanted to mention something exactly what he was talking about. I was watching this lawyer yesterday, kind of put some context, because I don't know if you remember, but yesterday I said if you do have tickets with Air Canada that's been canceled because of the strike, do not get a refund. And the guy was explaining that the reason people are saying right now don't get a refund, just keep your tickets, contact Canada, Air Canada, and have them find you another flight with a different carrier, because as per the law, they don't have a choice. Even if it's more expensive, by law, they have. And if they don't, if they tell you that they can't find one for yourself, and they don't have a choice to book it for you. So that's what a lawyer was saying. I'm not a lawyer, I'm telling you right now. I'm just somebody that does a lot of research, but it was like, it would make sense to me. It would not surprise me in the slightest that we have these type of protections in Canada where you can't get screwed. Because again, this is not a crown corporation as much as it was back in the 80s. I think it's 87 or 89 that it was fully privatized. Yes, the government owns like 6% shares in Air Canada, but it is not a crown corporation. It is a private company. So if you have some tickets with them, do not get the refund. Have them find you another flight. No, have them find you another flight. Don't rebook. Have them find another flight, because they have to cover the cost. Even if it's more expensive, by law, they have to do it. Obviously, they're not going to propose that to you because they don't want to spend the money, but it is in your right as per that lawyer. I should have kept the video. So yeah, that's it. That's the update I wanted to say. I don't know if there's some comments you want to take, or you have an opinion on this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's more just an informational thing. I mean, it's good that they're back to work. I'm glad to see it. No, I think let me see here if there's I mean
Guess we'll never know that if they're gonna get their account frozen or
no shit. Oh yeah,
or get
they're talking about
arrested.
scaling Buddy for
Yeah,
I
they were
mean,
saying that in the 80s it had happened in Ontario where the person responsible for the union that represented the healthcare system, the
they
healthcare
defied the
workers,
back to work to order,
and
and
he
they
got
ended up
jailed.
going to jail.
So
Wow.
we've
Yeah.
been tyrannical for a while then.
Yeah. Leah says flight attendants need to be paid from the minute they step into an airport for shifts
100%.
until they leave for rest. Yeah, that's I mean, that's
That's a
just
no-brainer to
that's
me.
common
No
sense.
matter how you feel, if I don't think they should get paid more for the job that they do, but they should
be
be paid for every single second that they work. I don't care what you do, you deserve to get paid. If you're working, you get paid. No questions about it.
Yep. Couldn't agree more on that one. I think that's it for that story. As Oma Ochalaja says, I hate that the Cupid dude looks like, what is this? La Cage Oaks Falls.
La Cage aux Folles. That's, you would translate that by the prison of crazy women or crazy birds.
Okay. Yeah.
La Cage aux Folles. La Cage aux Folles. I'm pretty sure that was a French movie that was pretty much making fun of crazy people. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a comedy that's been adapted to the movie theater. But there you go. Like, I'm just gonna show you kind of the cover of the, so you'll kind of understand what we're saying here. So
yeah, he does look like that.
Yeah, so yeah, he kind of looks like that one right there. So there you have it.
That's funny. This is from the story before, but this is actually pretty interesting. Bumpy is talking about the National Post articles, the headlines today. The headline one is separatism and internal dissent fizzle as Poilievre coasts to victory in rural Alberta. And there's another one that he says, National Post op-ed, Poilievre proved Alberta separatists were never forced to be reckoned with. That sounds like a bad take. I don't think that has anything to do with Poilievre's win. I think I just think that was just the Conservatives in that riding wanted to vote Conservative. I think that's all that is. I don't think it has anything to do with the Alberta sovereignty movement. And I think if the elites in Ottawa and Eastern Canada want to take that, if they're sitting there being like, oh, well, thank God that's taken care of. Thank God that's not an issue anymore. I think they're making a huge mistake.
But like we said yesterday, and I was on Jason's show this morning, and we talked about that again. But I think that it's gonna be a very tough situation for Poilievre to be in, because now he's been elected in the most conservative, the most independent looking province in Canada, and now he's gonna have to walk a tight line between, does he do what's best for Alberta? Does he do what's best for Canada? How do you walk that line? And as we said yesterday on the live stream, he's no Daniel Smith. Daniel Smith's been very good at walking that line between becoming sovereign, staying as part of Canada. Like the door is still open on whatever it seems, whatever people decide, like whatever the citizens, the people that lives in Alberta. But I don't know that he has that type of talent to walk that line. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Pierre Poilievre's going to have to make a choice. He's either a Albertan, which he's not, or he's a federalist.
Well, he's the leader of the Conservative Party. He's going to take the federalist stand. And I think Jason was saying he expects to see Poilievre kind of go against the Alberta sovereignty movement now in a way he didn't when he was running, quite obviously. Sylvia makes a good point. If you want separation, why vote for Poilievre? I'm not in Alberta. I don't know the feelings on the ground. I just kind of feel like, I don't know, like this is a federal election. I think people are probably not equating the two. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I suspect there's probably at least a decent amount of people who voted for Poilievre who also would be sovereigntists. And I also think there's a lot of people who are on the fence right now who probably, because, I think Brett made a good point last night. He said, yeah, there's a lot of complicated economic issues, but I think he was saying that the real battle is not going to be on the economic case, because the economic case is clearly there to leave if you're in Alberta. He said it's an emotional case, right? It's an emotional battle. Most, a lot of Albertans, even the ones that want to leave, I think probably are doing so reluctantly. I think they probably didn't want to have to go there because they grew up Canadian, right? They still feel certain things about Canada, and even if they decide, well, like this is just, kind of like, the analogy used about the battered wife. Well, imagine it's an abused wife who still loves her husband. She knows she probably has to leave, but it's not an easy choice.
This is interesting because this is a take I've heard multiple times now. Derek Seitler saying, I think that's exactly why he was dropped off there, to derail the sovereign movement. That would not surprise me either, that's exactly why he was there. But at the same time, I think it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. As much as we ripped into you for not believing that Carney has ill intentions and everything that he's doing is intentional, like he is trying to ruin Canada in order to rule over the rebels and align us with the WEF, the WHO, and the UN. At the same time, I think that even on the ground, it's hard for people to even if they think it would be better for them to separate or to become sovereign, it is a massive change. Like you're completely changing everything.
Yeah.
And I would be very curious to see, because psychologically wise, if you look at what it takes in order to say we're done, like to burn that bridge, to say I no longer want to be part of Canada, everything that I've known my whole life, I'm gonna throw fire on it, burn that bridge, and never go back there. And as much as people might want to do it on paper, like when they sit down, as Brett was saying yesterday, if they look at the economy, like the economy version, they're like, okay, it would make sense. Economy wise, it makes sense. We could explode our oil and gas again, become self-reliant, build pipelines to the US if we have to, maybe do a deal with BC, or maybe go out the port. I can't remember what the port I had found in the Hudson Bay that could be used for that, but there's so many options. It's one thing to do it on paper and then to say I want to separate.
It is.
So maybe that's why people still voted for Pierre Poilievre, because they're just maybe want to give it another try. Maybe they think maybe they honestly believe that Pierre Poilievre can make Canada better. And even in the comment section here, you see that there's people that believe that. I don't believe so, but that doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong either. But it is a hard pill to swallow to say
leave. We're
leave. Done. We need to do everything possible because it's unknown, right? No province has done that since we became the Union of Canada. So it's a very interesting moment. Very, very interesting moment. That's for sure.
It is. And when we talk about the stuff, like, we talk about this with Jason and stuff, obviously, he's there in the thick of it.
Plus, he's very biased.
Yeah,
like, let's not lie to each other. He has his opinion, right?
I'll generally defer to him on a lot of the stuff. I feel my gut feel is he's underestimating how difficult it's going to be to actually leave. He's convinced it's in the bag. Now it definitely might happen, but I think by no means it's in the bag, because like you said, this is a major emotional change. You look at Brexit, how difficult that was politically. If you actually, it took years and years and years, and that's just the UK leaving the EU. That's nothing like Alberta leaving Canada, which something every single Albertan has been part of their entire lives. And I think, there's some major emotional friction that's going to have to be overcome. There's a lot of inertia in this kind of a political move. Just all the infrastructure, everything is going to be geared towards just staying where you are. It takes a massive amount of energy to pull a province, or something like Alberta out of the country. And that's not saying it can't be done. I think there's a very real risk that it will be done. But I think Jason might be overestimating it a little bit when he talks about basically it's in the bag.
as much as I have my biases, I'll never
He has
lie
his
about having biases.
Yeah.
So does he. And to me, there's nothing that's black and gray, right? As much as I want to believe that there's a lot of black and gray subjects out there, technically there's none. There's nuances of everything.
Yes, of course.
And is it gonna happen? Are they gonna separate? I don't know. I have no idea. Is it possible? Sure. But even Jason and Brett said yesterday, it's not a monetary decision. It is not a logical decision. It's an emotional one.
Mhm.
And as you know, we all know what happened during the lockdowns. It was not a logical decision that people made to respect what the government was saying. It was an emotional one. Because if everybody would have put their emotions aside and just say, let's look at the fact, just looks at the facts, just same way I did from the get-go, people would have realized from the beginning that it was all bullshit. But it's an emotional thing. So is it going to happen? I don't know. Is there enough people out there that can think logically and say this is the best thing for us? Maybe. But I would agree with you that it's probably not nowhere close to a done deal.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Daniel Smith's going all over the place trying to convince, or at least give people the respect that they deserve by having a choice, by at least being able to ask the questions. Because as per Jason was saying from the Alberta Next meeting downtown,
In Edmonton.
the one that he went to, it was brutal. Supposedly she got heckled. There was a lot of stuff that did not go her way. She got questioned, and that's good. That every politician's out there should get questioned. Like we get questioned all the time. I'm used to people questioning, and I like that.
Yep.
If I can't explain my views, I can't defend my views to somebody that disagree with me. Do I really believe them?
Yeah. Right.
Before we move forward, I wanted to take this one because it's funny enough that Joe Stradamus actually responded to that. So I just wanted to put a bit of context for the people out there that are just joining the show for the first time, that don't necessarily understand what we do here. Yes, I'm a conservative. Yes, Rob is a liberal. As much as he likes to say common sense, he's a common sense liberal. The whole point of our show is to try to drive a civil discourse where people can actually agree, disagree, question each other, but you need to show your work. You need to make sure that you're ready. If you're going to pass a comment, better be ready to defend it. And it's interesting because down and out at Nashville is somebody from Nashville, and thanks again for showing up, bro. And he's saying that talking about Daniel Smith, is basically Alberta's Donald Trump, just with more played and less spray tan. And I disagree, but I don't even need to agree or disagree.
Yeah,
Joe just responded saying Danielle is 10 times the person Trump is. I'm a hardcore lefty, and I would vote for her over any U.S. Democrat right now, which I just found. I don't really have anything to say outside of I love the conversation that you guys are having. You guys are super polite, even if you disagree. And this is exactly what we had in mind every day when we do this show, is to drive this type of conversation. So if you are on X and you like what you're seeing, make sure to like, make sure to restream the stream. This is how you can help us grow on X. If you're on Instagram, if you're on my Instagram, I just started being able to restream this on Instagram. So if you guys like what you're seeing, you want to be part of the conversation, make sure to join the YouTube channel. Go at the Poli Orphans on YouTube. Join the conversation that you see right here. Once you're there, like, obviously comment and subscribe. And for everybody that's there right now, make sure to like. If you haven't liked the stream, make sure to do so, because this is how you're going to help us with the algorithm. The more like we have, the more chances they're going to show the stream to new people. The more chances we're going to have new people show up and be able to have a civil conversation just like we're doing. Because at the end of the day, man, even this morning on the show with Jason, I wanted him, because he started doing this, right? He did not know that this was an option because he uses the same software we do. So this morning he enabled it, and I'm like, hey man, take that comment. Take that comment. Can you show that comment? Can you take that comment? And they were targeted at me. They were disagreeing with me. I'm so used to taking those comments so that
he doesn't do that.
Address them. I don't know anybody that really does, because it's hard to take the hard comments. It's hard to get people question you and call you names, but yet yesterday, the old man guy, I can't remember what was the
Cranky
name.
old man. Cranky old man.
Cranky old man just came in
Yeah.
a hot trying to destroy. I think it was
By
me that he was going after.
Yeah.
But we addressed it, and by the end, he's like, "Great show,
boys."
hugs for everyone."
That's what he said. Yeah, hugs. Okay, cool, man, hugs. Yeah,
but
that's-
this is the point, right? We are trying to do something different here. So again, thank you for all. Thank you for having those conversations. It makes me it makes me very happy.
Yeah, it makes it's in the feels.
It's in the feels. You don't see it, but I was like this, like I'm under the microphone. I'm like, oh,
Hugs,
I should have wore a pink shirt. Is all I could think of.
Hugs for everyone.
Yep.
Okay, we'll take a few more comments, then we'll move on. There was one here from Bumpy that I was going to take here. Here it is. Shit. No, I didn't find it. But he's basically saying it was the one about leaders. There's no leaders. Yes, here it is. Political movements require strong leadership. They have visible traction. None of this is seen with Alberta separatism, and I think that's a good point. Like, who is the national leader that I know with Quebec separatism? What was the guy's name in the 90s? I can't remember either. He was well known.
Jacques Parizeau? Jacques Parizeau?
Yeah, I think that it was him.
I think Jacques Parizeau. Wow.
Just the fact that you can even. I'm pretty sure that was him. But everyone knew who it was, right? And that's, if you look at Brexit, you've got Nigel Farage and a couple other René Levesque, as Sylvie says. Yes, yep, that's right. But that's correct. Like, those are, these kind of movements do require that. Now, I guess it's still early, and one could emerge, but I think you're going to have to see that happen before you really expect any real movement there.
Yeah, but that person could be Danielle Smith all along, but she's just doing it in a way that will look, because in my opinion, what she's doing, she's trying to make it look like that's the decision of the people, and she will respect the people's decision. I'm Alberta first. I will do the right thing for you. It's a great sales pitch.
Yeah,
it's a great sales pitch, and she's clever. Love Danielle Smith or not, she is quite the politician.
Well, yes, yeah, and like in that, like in the real sense of the word, not in the, like when we say, Pierre Poilievre's a politician, that means he's good at repeating slogans and he's smooth. But Danielle Smith is a when you say she's a good politician, means she understands all the forces at play. She knows, where to step, where not to step. Because right now, and this is what we talked about with Poilievre, he's going to have to walk this tightrope that Danielle Smith is walking, and it's a very, very thin one. And Danielle Smith so far has done it, I believe, pretty well. She hasn't burned any bridges on either side of a very contentious issue. She still could, like at this moment right now,
there's plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time to burn bridges. But in this moment right now, you could plausibly imagine her as the president of an independent Alberta. And you could also plausibly imagine her as a prime minister of Canada, as head of the Conservative Party. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive to be able to do that. And that's why I say, I don't know that Poilievre has I don't know if he's got the parts. I don't know if he has the skill set to manage that tightrope the way that Danielle Smith has.
I like those. I like the comment by Robin and the one by Alberta Independence saying choosing the leader for an organic movement will always take time, and it's very grassroots right now. So it's true. I totally agree. And Sylvie thinks that Smith doesn't support Alberta's independence. Neither does Pierre Poilievre. Which
Poilievre definitely won't.
No. That's for sure. But it's I'd be interested to know the behind the scene, and if she is for, like, to be a fly on the wall to just know if she's for or not. I'd be very curious, because up to now, again, as a third party person that is not an Albertan, that is just covering this from a common sense perspective out of Quebec, out of the East, because we know how important it is and how this has the potential of redefining Canada. It seems that she is not playing the game and exposing her cards. I got a feeling she'd be very good at playing poker. She's probably a very good poker player, because up to now, I could be convinced either way that
And-
she is a massive supporter of Alberta independence, or she wants Canada.
And I think
she
in
wants to
her
be part of
mind,
Canada.
I think in her mind, she thinks I could be Prime Minister of Canada in 5 years,
Yeah.
or I could be head of a independent Alberta. And I don't think maybe she doesn't even care which one it is. She just wants to make sure she knows which way is, the winds are blowing. And, I think, I think you're right. I think she could wait and see if it's clear to her that the winds of change are blowing and separatism is the way to go. I think she'll probably throw her weight behind it, and then overnight she will become that visible leader.
So I got 4 more I want to take, and then we'll switch. It's just they're going to be fast, but just to show how good she is at what she's doing, because Alberta Independence seems to believe that there are older clips of Danielle showing that she hates the idea. She seems to hate the idea of leaving. And then you have Leah saying Smith is definitely with independence. Review all her actions, not words. So even within the grassroots movement of Alberta sovereignty, there seem to not be an agreement on where Danielle Smith lies. And
Which
to me,
again,
that's a sign of her brilliance. In my opinion, again, I'm talking out of my
100%.
ass right now. But as a third party, I'm very impressed with the way that she's handling it, because I could see a case for either. And it wouldn't surprise me. Either way, I'd be like, oh yeah, I could see that. Oh yeah, I could
and that's
see that.
exactly what I
don't know
mean by
right now.
she's walking this tightrope
Yep.
this very thin tightrope, and she's walking it very well.
Hold on. I wanted to take this one. Therese is saying, why would Alberta show all cards? Not how I was taught to play. And I agree. What she's doing is great, in my opinion. She's handling it like a pro. I don't see any other politician in Canada being able to do the dancing that she's doing right now on a tightrope.
No,
So
that's right.
Good on her. And we'll finish with this. Sylvie's asking on a different topic, will you still have Dr. Makis on? And if you do, will you share with him what Jason has said? Would I still have him on? Sure. Yeah. The invitation is still there. I'm just waiting on him to get back to me. And it's Jason that did the introduction. So I'm just waiting for him to get back to me, because I would love to hear his side of a story. I don't need to agree with somebody in order to have a conversation with them. I just want to understand why people do what they do. At the end of the day, why do they do it? So do I agree with Jason or not, his take yesterday? I don't know. I don't know enough about the story.
Just for the viewers who weren't there, if you want to give some context to what that story was, remember the criminalization
so
we talked about.
There's a guy by the name of Dr. Makis that is claiming, and I'm going to use the word claiming because I have no proof that it is true. I looked into it. I can't find any proof that it is correct, but I'm not saying that it isn't, because it's not like I spent days researching this, but he's been claiming that Danielle Smith is criminalized, or has criminalized as of August 15th, so Friday last week, that she was criminalizing ivermectin. Jason we streamed with him yesterday. The question was brought up, and he kind of said that that's not necessary, that he couldn't find any documentation saying, and he was encouraging people to look at what Dr. Makis has been posting, because he's been posting his court documents. He's been posting a lot of documents related to the court case that he has with Alberta right now, where he lost his license as a doctor, as a physician. So he seemed to say that it's more connected with him losing his license. And again, I'm paraphrasing. If you want to know exactly what his opinion was, you'll have to watch the show yesterday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's 2 hours, 50 minutes, the one we did at night. But at one point he talks about it. So I'm not sure, Sylvie. I don't know. I don't like the he said, she said type of stuff. I don't like that schoolyard type of conversation. But to answer your question, I would have him on the show 100%. The invitation is still there, no matter if people like him or not. I don't really care. At the end of the day, I want to talk to people that are controversial, that have an opinion, no matter how I feel about it. So yes, 100%. Would I share what Jason said? I wouldn't need to, because I would ask him the hard questions, as in, what's really happening here? Do you have any proof? Because I researched it, and if he does accept, I will do hours of research to be extremely prepared, because he's a smart guy. I've listened to some of his stuff. He ain't an idiot. So you need to be ready, just in the same way as when we have John Carpe on the show. We're absolutely ready for him. We're not going to disrespect him by having him on the show and not address the real problem. So it would be no difference with Makis. I'd like to have him on. As I said, I'd like to have him on. To me, it's a no-brainer. And so we'll see. We'll see if he takes the invitation or not. I forgot, man. We are 15 minutes away from having Amy Head's lawyer.
Yeah. Nice.
What was her name, man? I'm so sorry. Lisa Bildy on the show. So I just want to address, there's 2 more topics I wanted to cover. Well, technically there's a lot more. It's a shame I don't get to cover the gun one, because this is something I really, really wanted to talk about. We'll talk about it tomorrow, I guess, because we do have the Canadian government is saying that there will be a buyback gun program that will be implemented by the end of next year. So this is something I definitely want to talk about. So we'll keep it for tomorrow. I'll also show Anonymous. There was a video by Anonymous for Nova Scotia, which you remember the Anonymous group, right? So So the video is interesting, and it's true. What they're saying is actually correct. I could verify everything that they're saying. So maybe we'll cover, if we have the time, I'd like to cover it now. But the next topic I wanted to cover is hilarious, if you ask me, but it's about how, Mark Carney was not part of the conversation that took place at the White House yesterday between Trump Zelenskyy and the army of European leaders. Yeah. Mark Carney was nowhere to be found.
Our $4 billion didn't even buy us a seat at the table. Like,
actually, it's between 19 to 20 billion that we've given, promised. We don't even get an invite. But I found a video. I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to watch it with you guys, but it was shared by Mark Nixon. So he normally is very research. He does some solid work. So here's a video supposedly that is kind of, they're kind of not making fun of Mark Carney, but they're snubbing Mark Carney, both Trump and Zelenskyy. So here's a video of Trump after the White House meetings yesterday.
President Putin today. We're going to call President Putin right after this meeting. I'm sure we're going to have a solid meeting, good meeting, maybe a great meeting, and we're going to try and work out a trilat after that and see if we can get
trilat.
It finished.
So
this
cool.
To sleep, because this is not since the Second World War has there been anything like this. So I'm honored to welcome NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's a great gentleman, great political leader in Europe generally, but now he's the NATO Secretary General, and you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Mark. Prime Minister Starmer of the United Kingdom, our friend and my friend, and doing really well. And people like him a lot. We all like him. President Macron of France, who's been with me from the beginning, one of the first people I met as a foreign dignitary, and I liked him from day one. And I like him even more now.
He doesn't believe anything he's saying.
That's a pretty unusual thing.
He's reading off a paper, right?
Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, who's a really great leader and an inspiration over there. She's
fantastic leader.
She's served now, even though she's a very young person. She's served there for a long period of time relative to others. They don't last very long. You've lasted a long time. You're going to be there a long time. Chancellor Merz of Germany, who is a very strong person and a very strong leader and very highly respected in Germany. And he's my friend, and it's an honor to have him as my friend. Thank you very much.
That's what's so weird, because it's true.
I want to get a tan like that. President Stubb of Finland, and he's somebody that, where are we here?
He's basically thanking everybody outside of Canada.
Seen you look, but you've done a great job, and we wanted to have you here because you're somebody that we all respect, and you've had a lot to do with the success, I think, and the potential success. And thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. and the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who is somebody that we just made a big deal with all of those countries. I don't know. I think you might be more powerful than all these guys at this table.
$750 billion energy deal.
But we had a great negotiation, and you're respected all over the world. So I want to thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to have you. The Alaska summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that.
So there you have it. Trump has thanked every single fucking country on the planet outside of Canada.
Yeah, this is not a good look for Carney, for Canada. It doesn't bode well for our position on the global stage.
No.
Interesting though. I think, as people are like saying like, oh, what, they all hate him. Of course they do, and he probably hates them. But the diplomacy has a point. There's a purpose to it, and I do like to see him, understand that in the moment, you still have to do these niceties on the global stage. At least this is how deals get done. I mean, to me, he looks like someone who's actually trying to be a peacemaker here, to end this war. I think it's easy to hate.
If he doesn't believe it, he's playing the game, because he actually was laughing. He's like, "Oh, hey, where are you? You're doing a great job." And
and if he understands his personality, it's probably hard for him to go and say all these nice things about people that he knows probably hate him, and he probably doesn't like them either. But that's what you got to do if you in diplomacy. You have to do those things sometimes. I think this, to me, that represents a almost matured President Trump. And I just got to give credit where it's due. I mean, especially if he actually ends this war here, I mean, the media probably won't give him an ounce credit, but
now,
I
posted about that over the weekend. I'm like, if Trump is able to end this war, as in, be the third party that actually is responsible for bringing them together, mediate this end to the war, he should get a Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm like, we all know that if it was Obama, if it would have been Biden, they would have been praised as the best president ever. But because, and you know what? I looked at how many presidents have won the Nobel Prize for Peace. It was 4. 3 out of the 4 are Democrats, and there hasn't been a Republican. Like it's basically all Democrats that are winning the peace. The Nobel Prize of Peace. So it's just interesting that we know that he would never get the recognition just because people love to hate him so much, right?
Well, and a lot of the reason why he's hated, certainly by the elites, is he doesn't play the game, right? He doesn't. But the game that they play is just fucking talk, and consult and committees and meetings, and nothing ever actually gets done. And it's kind of refreshing just to see the guy call up Putin and be like, "Hey, let's meet in Alaska. Let's get this war finished with." Especially if he actually ends up getting it done. He's always kind of seemed like he's had a bit of a man crush on Putin, but even in this negotiation, he hasn't. He's called Putin out a couple times. He's trying to be in my opinion, he's trying to be an honest peace broker here. I think even Donald Trump, as for all his flaws, and there's a fucking ton of them. I think he's definitely got some narcissistic personality traits, like probably all these politicians do. I think he is probably, everyone cares about their legacy, and I think he is trying. It seems to me like a good faith effort to actually end this war.
I wanted to show another video. I'm going to take the time to do it right now because it's not a long one, but this is what is very, very, very funny, is that you have Trump praising all of those people, everybody outside of Canada. And if you wonder why that happened, and if it was intentional, just listen to Doug Ford about what he said yesterday. Not only does he praise Carney, but he basically says that he will not sit down with Pierre Poilievre if he becomes the leader of the Conservative Party again. Listen to this.
Premier, today is Pierre Poilievre's by-election. If he gets elected, I'm wondering what's your advice to him going into the fall sitting of the Parliament?
Work with the Prime Minister.
How so?
It was Team Canada. You know.
Would you have plans to meet with Poilievre to push that message and make sure that he is working with the Prime Minister?
All I want to do is move forward collectively as a government. I don't care about political stripes. The person I'm working with right now is the Prime Minister of the day. And as far as I'm concerned, he's doing a really, really good job considering the position he's been put in. I challenge anyone try to deal with Donald Trump, myself included. He's a different type of cat.
Literally every other country in the world has made a deal with this guy. He's a deal maker. That's his thing.
So Doug Ford, a conservative leader of Ontario, is saying that he will not meet with Pierre Poilievre because he does not care about political stripes. So he doesn't, basically what he's saying is that he's not a conservative. He's just whatever Mark Carney needs him to be. Praises Mark Carney for doing nothing. Not only didn't he do nothing, but remember, he declared that he would support Palestine as a state 24 hours before
that was stupid.
The end.
That was just a dumb mistake.
Time and time again, Mark Carney is doing everything he can to piss off Trump, knowing how egotistical he is, knowing how he's going to take it. And then you have Doug Ford, a supposedly conservative leader, saying that he doesn't care about political parties anymore, that he supports Carney and he encourages Pierre Poilievre to play ball with Carney. What the fuck are we talking about here? What's the point of having an opposition party? So you're basically saying that the uni party that I think that we've had in Canada over the past 10 years, you're basically condoning that idea. And if it was just a conspiracy theory, you're basically encouraging us to have a uni party because Mark Carney knows better.
I don't understand what Doug Ford's doing. Like the first bit, the first half, I can get behind that. Like I do think one problem that politics tends to have is opposition parties will actually sabotage the leading party because they don't want them to get a win, and that's not good for the country, right? I do want politicians to work together if there's something that actually is going to be good for the country. But then, so it's one thing to say, okay, just try to get something done, good for Canada, whatever. But to go and just wash Carney's balls like that, I don't understand that. He's not doing a great job. He's made a lot of mistakes, and you can. That's just, to me, that's just factual. He's made a lot of mistakes dealing with Trump, and what was he saying there? Well, you got to deal with Trump. Well, yeah, you do, but Trump's actually not that hard to deal with. He makes deals, as you can see, by every other country in the world. He's made deals with Europe. He's made deals with China. He's made deals with Japan, South Korea. Pretty much, he's even given Mexico an extension to work on a deal. It's only Canada that. So I mean. You can't just say,
and Canada hasn't been able to make a deal with China, is not able to make a deal with the US, is not able to make a deal with Mexico. So who's the when you have a problem, you should analyze and figure out what the common denominator is. Yeah. And in this case, it ain't Donald Trump. It's Mark Carney.
Yeah, if one person hates you or two people hate you, that doesn't mean anything. If everybody hates you, then maybe the problem is actually you, right?
No, in that case, it's everybody else, obviously. Yeah. Everybody else is the problem.
Rob Ford would be better even on crack. Yeah, he was
Have you seen how aged? He looks bad.
Who does?
He's never been a pretty guy. Oh, Jesus. Dougie. Yeah, he looks bad.
I seem to recall Rob Ford, he was more obviously conservative, was he not?
Well, as conservative as a crack smoker can be.
Yeah. I mean,
how conservative can you be when you're on the pipe, bro?
That was really funny.
But look, I'm just gonna show you again. Look at this. Okay, let's be honest. He's no Justin Trudeau, right? He's not dreamy like Justin Trudeau, obviously. But like, eesh.
Yeah. No,
like even in low quality videos, he looks like crap, like Jesus. Oof.
Yeah,
like if that was in 4K, oh, he's like 35, 36. No, just kidding.
No,
damn.
Could you? That's a hard 35.
Wow, the crack is hard on the body, bro.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Let's be honest here.
He's 60. He's 60. Although Daniel Smith is 54.
Yeah, see, that says a lot because he's 60, but he looks like a good 75.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of dudes, like one of my buddies is 72 years old. Takes his shirt off, like he hits the gym 4 or 5 times a week. He's still small. He is jacked. Like you see him, he's like, you're like, hey, bro. Yeah, 72 years old, and we make fun of him.
Is he really?
Sorry, he's turning 70. Yeah, he's turning 70, and we're like, nice. 70 is like your grandfather area, right? You old.
200 or
he takes no. He's very smart in the way he trains. Like he's very careful about his joints. He's
doesn't
careful
go
about
ahead, sure.
But he takes his shirt off. It's like he's absolutely jacked. So
really, nice.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. I can send you pictures of him shirtless if that's what you want.
Oh yeah, okay. Of course.
Lisa, can you hear us? Are you ready to go? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Just
Lisa,
maybe
can you hear us?
I
just want to. Yeah, she should. I just want to make sure that she's ready to go. Nico and Rob sharing pictures of shirtless old men.
Well, yeah, it's the currency, right?
Bro. That's what you're in for when you're on the show, the Political Orphans. You never know where we're gonna go with this. But yeah. Lisa, I'm sorry, that's a very weird way for you to show up on the show. But are you ready to go? Can you hear us, Lisa? Yes, she can. She's laughing.
Okay.
So can you hear us? Are you ready to go?
All right, just put her on.
Thumbs up. Yeah, we'll just. I think she's having. Oh, there we go, Lisa. How you doing?
Can you hear us?
Good. How are you?
Oh,
I can.
Thank you for showing up here.
So,
my pleasure.
a bit of context here. This is Lisa Bildy. She is Amy Hamm's lawyer, and unless you've been hiding under a rock, she's the BC nurse that got. Not only did she lose her job, and you correct me anytime you want, Lisa. I'm not a lawyer. I just repeat the news. Mm-hmm. She lost her job as a nurse because she put a billboard up endorsing J.K. Rowling's. Now she basically is being fined $90,000 in order to keep her license or to get it back, and she's been suspended. Her license has been suspended for a month. Is that correct? Am I pretty close?
Pretty close, but there's some different context to add to that. It was the J.K. Rowling billboard and some media around that got her on the radar of some activists. And then they complained to her regulator, and the regulator started an investigation that looked at all her tweets and all her podcasts and everything she'd ever said, and had like a 300-page dossier of all the things that they thought were objectionable. So that is really what kind of went forward to a disciplinary hearing. So that's her regulator. That's the college that decides, like, that licenses people to get to be nurses or whatever. Sorry if I'm a bit laggy. I know I can see my screen lagging. Sorry if it's not great quality.
All good.
Your voice is good though.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And her job was a separate issue. But after the college found her to be guilty of unprofessional conduct, then her employer fired her as well. So that's a separate issue. We're taking both of them to the Human Rights Tribunal in BC for discriminating against her on the basis of her gender-critical political beliefs.
Yeah, I know in the UK there was a somewhat of a similar case on Maya Forstater, and the outcome of that case was that the tribunal said that gender-critical views are, I believe the exact words were, worthy of respect in a democratic society or something like that. Essentially, protected beliefs. Do we have a similar ruling for precedents in Canada that you can rely on in the courtroom, or are you going to have to essentially try to create one here?
We're going to have to create one. Those arguments were raised during her disciplinary hearing, which was like a 22-day thing. We had a lot of argument. We used all those British cases that were very helpful, but the panel wasn't bound by them in any way, and ultimately decided not to. They respected that her views were sincerely held. They did say that, but what they also said was her commentary was discriminatory and derogatory to trans people, even though no trans people came forward to actually be complainants here. There were no trans people harmed in the making of, they assumed that people would be hurt by it. There's no evidence, no direct evidence of that. And, in terms of her views, though, they said, well, surely you can advocate for women and girls and young people without being discriminatory against trans people. Oh, but by the way, you can't advocate and exclude trans people. So you can't say, I want to have women's spaces and then also exclude women, trans women from that category. So essentially what they're saying is you cannot advocate, nicely or not, you cannot advocate for biological women's spaces in British Columbia if you're a regulated professional.
Let me ask you this. This is the part I never understand, because if we are in a free society, if we are in a place where we have charters of rights and where we have the right to freedom of speech, like we're capable of saying what we think, why is it okay for them to reduce being a woman to anybody that feels like a woman, but it's not okay for a biological woman to say that a guy with a penis can't be a woman? Why are both speeches not protected equally?
Well, that's a good question. It's really the question of the day. Everybody's noticing that there's a double standard in this country, and when it comes to enforcement of speech rules. This is one of the things that I find the most offensive about where our regulatory bodies are these days. They will throw the book at somebody who they feel is unprofessional or is embarrassing the college because they have views that a select group that seems to now be controlling these institutions thinks is the only view you can have. But you've got professionals out advocating for various, radical other things, sometimes identifying their employer, certainly identifying their occupation, but that's okay because it's in comportment with, whatever views these people already hold. So it's very selective. And so in my view, they shouldn't be allowed to regulate this at all. They can't be trusted to be fair about it. And, frankly, they shouldn't be regulating off-duty speech anyway, in my opinion, because it doesn't go to the real issues that we need regulators for, if we need them at all, which is to regulate, to ensure that there's competence, basic skills when someone is getting a doctor, nurse, engineer, whatever, that they have basic skills and basic ethics, right? So that if you're a lawyer, you're not skimming the trust fund. Why are our views being regulated at all? And I think that's really the question that we need to confront, and governments, sympathetic governments, if there are any, need to put the screws to these organizations and basically take away those powers, because I don't think they're being used fairly.
I couldn't agree more. So I have a question. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the case of Rachel Dolezal down in the States. She was a white woman who was head of the NAACP in, I believe it was Seattle, who I think she tinted her skin and basically identified as a Black woman. And when, of course, she was found out, it was, the worst thing ever. She was, of course, canceled, and it was essentially evil. And I guess from a legal perspective, I would ask, what is the difference between if a man can identify as something he is not, i.e. a woman, why can't Rachel Dolezal or any white person identify as, a Black person or any race that they want? And this is a bit of a rhetorical question, but from a legal perspective, I'm curious, is there any difference?
Well, there is a difference because we have decided, whoever was short-sightedly did this, that gender identity is a protected quality. So, if you view yourself to be of a different sex, because they conflate these all the time. They accuse us of conflating sex and gender, but that's essentially what they are doing themselves. If you view yourself as the opposite sex, you're protected in that view, right? It's guaranteed under all the human rights codes that you should not be discriminated against on the basis of of your basically your self-identification. Now, that isn't the same way for the other, if somebody was to identify into a different race or whatever, that's not, I mean, I think it's a logical extension of where that goes or where it should go. But I think that the transgender individuals have a protection built in already through legislation that came about in the mid-2010s.
Do you see a resemblance of this case with Jordan Peterson's case with the what is it called? It's the Ontario Psychologists Union, or the actual part, not the party, but the group responsible for giving out the licenses for psychologists in Ontario, are kind of doing the same thing with Jordan Peterson, where they wanted him to get re-educated how to be taught how to behave online, because he questioned a trans. And he basically, as far as I know, he said, you know what, I don't need my license anymore. I make enough money. I don't need this. But are you seeing a resemblance to Amy's case, as in they're trying to crush dissent? They're just, we're going to make it so impossible for you to comply that at the end of the day, you're just going to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to walk away from my license because it's just not worth it.
Well, yeah, and getting back to what I was saying is that a lot of these, so these are regulators, okay? They're created by statute in each of the provinces, and there's one for just about every occupation, like it's expanding. So you used to basically be lawyers and doctors, but it's now in many provinces, it's paramedics, it's daycare workers, like, you pretty much any job now is going to be licensed. So these people have an immense amount of control over who gets to be part of the profession. They get to decide who gets to come in and who gets to stay. And so when you give an organization like that kind of power, and then you allow them to regulate speech, and of course, if they're only regulating it in one direction, it's just an inordinate amount of power. It's absolutely very similar to what Jordan Peterson went through. Now, some people will say, well, once you're a regulated professional, you don't have the same rights. You don't have the same charter rights, because you have to represent yourself as a professional in all respects, in every aspect of your life. Well, I mean, that's the premise that we're doing all of this on, but I reject the premise, frankly, because I just think that what ends up happening is this kind of a one-sided abuse and weaponizing of these organizations, right? So what happened with Peterson is people complained from the internet. Well, of course they are, because it's a great little tool. You got these organizations that are now going to dump on this person you want to cancel and do the job for you. And that's what happened with Amy as well. These were not patients who complained. They were just strangers on the internet. Another client of mine is Dr. Kulvinder Gill, who expressed COVID dissent during 2020, 2021. And she ended up with something similar. A whole bunch of people complained about her, and now she's in a regulatory nightmare. So I just don't think that should be allowed, frankly. It's weaponizing a system, and it's gatekeeping who gets to be a part of an organization or of a profession. And you have to have the right views to do that. So yeah, some people are going to be rude and say things you don't like that might be embarrassing. From my perspective, I'd rather know that about a professional I'm going to hire or be exposed to. I'd like to know what they think. Thank you very much. Don't keep that from me. So
yeah, that's a great point. Just back to something you were saying a few minutes ago about how often the activists will make the case of, gender identity and sex are different. But then it seems like, okay, yes, well, they are different. So why are you using gender identity to replace sex? For example, bathrooms have always been separated by sex, not gender identity. So why are you allowed to access, say, the women's bathroom as a man based on your gender identity? Same as sports. Sports have never been segregated by gender identity. They've always been segregated by sex. So it seems like it's this sort of almost insidious replacement. Like, yes, they added gender identity to the protected list, but that can't really exist in the same list as sex, because they are often competing rights. Now, so do you see that as almost a flaw in the law that will have to be rectified? Because how can you, how can you have both protected categories when, in order to protect one category, you must infringe on the rights of the other?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's an inherent conflict, obviously, and it's resolved if you assume or if you understand that sex is a specific category, and sometimes for certain things we need to protect sex-based categories. So matters of decency, matters of competition, where bodies are different, where identities aren't really the criteria, but bodies matter, right? Sex shouldn't be interfered with. On the other hand, sometimes there's going to be a gender, person who doesn't subscribe to whatever gendered stereotypes. Frankly, I think we're actually going in the wrong direction on that. That was actually opening up, but now it's becoming much more, boxed. If you look this way, you must be a male. Mm-hmm. But, I can see why you might want to protect gender identity. I'm going to steel man the argument. In some cases, perhaps, where somebody is just so unorthodox, maybe they are a male who dresses as a female and shouldn't be discriminated against, perhaps in getting a job or whatever. I mean, I have views on that too, but that's the argument that they could make. But you should still be able to protect sex where it matters, right? But they're not allowing that, because what's happening is they are conflating it, and they're saying, if you're a trans woman, you are a woman, period. And so therefore, there's no distinction. When we talk about women as a sex class, they say it includes transgender women, because they're women just like women who are born such. So, they're blurring the lines. We could probably have a reasonable workaround that makes everybody feel included in the important ways, but they don't want to have that. They want the full, recognition as though they were always women from, the moment they were assigned whatever at birth.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a political view? Because right now it seems that this whole problematic that we're talking about when it comes to gender ideology has become a left versus right issue, when in my opinion it's bipartisan. It has nothing to do, like, I'm a conservative, I'm a Christian conservative, so you can imagine what my views are on this, and Rob is a liberal, and it kind of opened his mind that women cannot have penises. This is wrong. This cannot happen. So since he realized that, he no longer aligns with the Liberal Party, because
I've been kicked out of the Liberal. I'm not a liberal in good standing anymore, because I might hold every other view, but because I don't think women can have penises, I'm a far right Nazi.
But do you think it's done on purpose to politicize it in order to segregate people and prevent us from having conversations like the one we're having? Because, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know Amy, I haven't spoken to her. I want to have her on the show to ask her the question, but I got a feeling that she used to be a liberal, and what's happening to her is kind of just like Rob said, they kicked me out. Like, she got kicked out of the liberal movement because she doesn't believe that that women can have penises. So what's your opinion on what's going on and the way it's been weaponized politically?
Well, I mean, I think that you just said the answer. It's been weaponized politically. And I think that I'm not quite sure, the genesis of that, why it's become such a pet or, a pet advocacy group for left-wing politicians and groups, but it has. And I think the inclination, for some people, I think it's quite benign. They see this as an extension of the gay rights movement. Yes. And they want to not be, cruel, like they thought that maybe people were before. And, fair enough, but it isn't quite that. And in fact, there are a lot of people in the, gay and lesbian community who are quite concerned about this, because it does interfere with other rights. And so, at the end of the day, I'm not fully in one political camp or another either, but you sort of get tarred as one or the other, depending on your view on this issue. For me, it's important to be able to communicate with each other and, have these broader discussions about the impacts. And that's how you iron it out. What happens is when you start curtailing one side's speech, then, they're going to react. And they react sometimes much more aggressively than they would have if you just had a reasonable conversation and let them express their opinions and tried to find a solution. We don't do that anymore. We demonize one side of it. Well, guess what? The backlash is going to be swift and ugly, because when people can't talk, then what else are they going to do? They're going to fight back. It's just so stupid not to allow for people to be able to communicate reasonable concerns and have discussions like adults without all this discussion about harm and, you know, discrimination and what have you, which is basically just, we don't want to hear your opinions. They interfere with our pseudo reality. Your reality interferes with our pseudo reality, and we don't want to hear about it. So I just think it's so dangerous. And I will make a quick plug because while the Justice Center has been graciously funding this particular case, I personally have started something called the Free Speech Union, along with some others in Canada, because if we don't have free speech, we don't have anything. We're going to lose it all. We're going to lose all of our rights. And we need to be able to have conversations, and difficult conversations. And sometimes we're going to be really offended and disgusted by what we hear, but we need to let people talk.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah,
Amen to that.
Both of us agree. That's a core value of the show is that the need for free speech. That should not be a bipartisan, or it should be a bipartisan value. So it's one final question. Just kind of it kind of popped in my head as I was listening to answer one of those. And you were saying, you know, there could be some areas where you would want to protect gender identity, for example, in, you know, and I think everyone agrees, no one wants anyone to be discriminated against sort of in the housing or job markets. But, you know, I was also thinking, if I was an employer and I interviewed someone and, you know, they came in and they were dressed as an obvious man, dressed in a dress, and I got a strong sense of mental instability from this person. Is that discrimination because I don't want to hire that person? How would I get, like, how would that be taken? Because that doesn't, you know, let's say I work as, I don't know, a contractor. I just don't think this guy is going to fit into the culture of my work environment. Can I not hire, like, how do you avoid discrimination in that scenario?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. And I think you'd be accused of, you know, no matter what reason you gave. You know, personally, I'm a bit more of a libertarian. And while I want to see people treated fairly, and I don't want to see anybody being, you know, shunted aside because of who they are, I really don't. I mean, I'm a sort of a, you know, a classical liberal in that sense, but also a bit libertarian. And I really don't even know that we should be having these kinds of requirements. You know, but we do, and that is the law. And so you don't get to decide. If you think that, if you want to discriminate against, if you don't want to hire somebody because of who they are, then technically that's discrimination, and you may find yourself in front of a tribunal. So, but you know,
giving you a call.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll probably close up there, but before we do, what's next for Amy? What does she have coming up as far as you and her and this specific case?
So we're not done by a long shot. So she got her penalty decision last week, which was all over the social media. She got a 1-month suspension when she does return to nursing, because of course she's lost her job, and she has to pay costs of $93,000 and change. So that is suspended pending our appeal. We've already filed an appeal with the BC Supreme Court on the finding of that this was unprofessional conduct at all. You know, the penalty follows from that, right? So if we are successful in the court and have a finding that in fact this wasn't unprofessional conduct, then there would be no penalty and no costs. But yeah, so the whole gamut is being fought still into the courts, and we'll see how far we have to go with that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, she's also filed, with my help and the Justice Center's support, claims against both of those institutions for discrimination, because BC does protect political views in their human rights code. You can't discriminate in certain contexts, like employment and like regulators on political views.
Like she's being discriminated against.
Right. And so that is not an area of law that's been well fleshed out, certainly not on the gender piece. So I'm looking forward to fighting that when we get there. It's going to be a long time before all these things get ironed out. So Amy and I are going to be working together for a long time.
Nice. Nico, did you?
That's great. Thank you for joining. I don't know if you remember, but I had approached you a little while ago in order to have you on. You had told me to wait because you wanted the story to develop a bit, like that you were still waiting for the court to get back to you guys. But thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you back on. I'd love to talk to Amy. So it's definitely something that as much as Rob and I are on completely different side of the political spectrum, we both see this as a major problem.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you fight the government. I'm always for people fighting the government, so I'm always happy to see it happen. So continue the good work, and I love the fact that you're working with the Justice Center. We have John Carpe on the show all the time. We're a big fan of what they do. So good for what you do. We're happy to have you on. Thank you again.
Perfect. Thanks. Nice talking to you guys.
Before you go, Wise Guy 666 comments says before she goes, thanks. Tell Lisa thanks. Great talk. So just
thanks, guys.
Pass that along. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Have a good day. Well, there you have it, man. That was a good one. This is always down your alley, right?
Yes,
I know that you get excited to talk about penises and stuff. So.
Men with penises, or sorry, women with penises.
Women with men with penises. How dare you assume that men have penises?
How dare you? Yeah. Bold.
Hey guys. Yeah, guys. People in the chat, do you guys enjoy those talks? Because I'm always trying. Like, it's a lot of work to get good guests on the show. You never know how it's gonna go because again, you don't know those guests personally. But is that the type of Sylvie?
Yeah,
Sylvie. Is that the type of conversations you want us to have more? Do you want more guests like those? Because I started adding my email address at the bottom to see if you have suggestion, if you have specific subjects you want us to talk about, if you have guests that you think we should have, like it's right there, info@nicolagan.com. So send me an email, and Prairie, I did see who you sent me. It's not going to be easy to find. I can't find a direct contact with him, so I'm going to try.
Who's this?
But yeah, just I can't remember on top of my head, but he's a Canadian content creator. He's kind of a comedian, so he'd be very fun to have on. He's out there with, he aligns we probably align very much, him and I. He's just a lot funnier than I am. So, just to say, hopefully you guys liked it. You guys like those type of conversations because I wish we'd have one a day. So
yeah, I like that too. Yeah, Wise Guy says the guest really makes the show better. Tammy, another great guest. Well done, guys. Robin says great talk, guys. And Derek says intriguing guests are always welcome. So yeah, it sounds like I
actually know Greg Wycliffe. I recorded some content. I've had him on my on my other podcast. I've been on his. He's a great content creator from Canada. Okay. He's good stuff. He's good stuff.
I don't think we've had any guests that have not been good. That pretty much everyone's I thought has been pretty interesting conversations and certainly added to the show. So yeah, but I'm sure you'll do your thing and see if you can get them on. Guys, we're going to put a pin in there, try to get it right under 2 hours. You could have been anywhere in the world today and you chose to be here with us. We're always going to appreciate that. If you're watching the show and you want to support it, first of all, please like and share the stream over here on YouTube. That takes nothing. And if you really want to consider or support the show, consider becoming a member. You can do that through YouTube. That is $2.99 per month, the low costs of $2.99. And you will, of course, help support the show, help build the community, help support independent media if that's your thing. And other than that, guys, have a great rest of your day. Alberta says Matt Earhart will be awesome. Yeah, we'll check that out.
I'd be able to get him on. I met him when he was I think he's from Montreal, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe I met him about a month and a half ago. Yeah, so I might be able to get him on.
Nice. Other than that, guys, have a great rest of the day, and we will catch you tomorrow. Noon Eastern time. Yeah. Same as always.